Looking to take your financial knowledge to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to Ask Ralph, offering accounting, technical, and financial advice. Whether you're looking to save taxes or improve your business, he's got you covered. Here's your host of Ask Ralph, Ralph Eastop Jr.
Hello and welcome back to the Ask Ralph Show. As we talk more about insurance, I wanted to spend a little bit of time in this session talking about an umbrella policy. And this is not one of those things that keeps you dry in the rain. We've talked a little bit about renter's insurance and we talked about homeowner's insurance, but one of the things that a lot of clients have asked me about lately is an umbrella policy. So protecting your family and assets is a top priority, which is why people have insurance. Now, personal umbrella insurance is a type of insurance designed to add extra liability coverage over and above another insurance policy. You typically see this when you have an automobile or homeowner's insurance policy. Now, an umbrella policy is meant to help protect you from large and potentially devastating liability claims or judgments. So what does a personal umbrella policy cover? Well, personal umbrella policy coverage comes into play when your underlying liability limits, such as your homeowners or auto policy, have been reached. So what is typically covered by an umbrella policy? Well, that's, bodily injury, personal injury, property damage, and landlord liability. Now, what is not included generally in umbrella policies are personal belongings, intentional or criminal acts or omissions, and written and oral contracts. So to better understand how a personal umbrella policy works, here's an example. So let's say you're at fault in a car accident. So it's your fault and that injures another driver. Now, your regular automobile insurance may cover the other driver up to the limit you selected. So let's say you picked a top limit of $250,000. But what happens if that $250,000 is not enough to cover the other driver's resulting medical bills, which is not uncommon anymore with the cost of health insurance. So if the other driver's injuries are severe, you may be legally responsible for damages beyond the $250,000 your car insurance policy covers. And if this person sues you, your personal assets could be at stake. Imagine if that injured driver were a surgeon or another highly paid professional. What if that accident you caused resulted in an injury that kept him from doing his job for 6 months? So all of a sudden, this person's suing you for $1 million to cover 6 months that he's away from work. So your automobile policy coverage would give you that coverage up to $250,000. But where would you come up with the remaining $750,000 in this example? A personal umbrella policy can help cover the additional costs when your standard policy isn't enough. An umbrella policy could provide the additional coverage you need so that you don't get stuck trying to pay the remaining balance yourself. This could easily wipe out your assets. This extra policy could help protect your bank account, home, and other personal property. Now, here's the best part about this. In most cases, personal umbrella policies are available in $1 million increments from 1 to 5 million. While an umbrella policy is not required, it may offer increased protection in the unfortunate event of an accident. So we talked about, what this umbrella policy does. So you understand it's basically just giving you additional coverage. So let's say, for example, that you have a homeowner's policy and someone is, walking your front steps and they slip and fall and it results in damage to them. And let's say your homeowner's policy, covers up to $300,000. Well, let's say this person suffered a terrible head injury and, you're getting sued for, let's just say it's double your policy for $500,000 in this case. If your insurance company, pays them what your liability coverage is of $300,000, potentially that would leave $200,000 that you would have to come out of pocket and pay yourself, which may force you, to liquidate a retirement account or to actually sell your home. So this is something I highly recommend to anyone, and it's not cost prohibitive. So what is generally covered under a personal umbrella policy and what is not? So while personal umbrella policy insurance is designed to help cover expenses if you are held responsible for damages to someone else's property, that coverage typically won't apply if you cause damage to your own property. So suppose your bathtub overflows, destroying drywall on your home. Your own damages will be excluded from coverage. But if the overflow destroys the property of your downstairs neighbor, your personal umbrella policy may cover the damages caused by your negligence. preventing you from having to pay out of pocket for the loss. It's important to note, though, that any umbrella insurance benefits will kick in only after the underlying policy limit has been exhausted. So that's an important thing to remember, is that this is only going to happen, once your regular policy has come into play. So let's use that example of the homeowner's policy where someone gets hurt at your home. This umbrella policy is not going to kick in until your underlying policy has already been met and already been and handled. So you want to make sure that you have a good underlying policy. Now, losses related to the operation of your business or damage to your business property would generally not be covered as well by a personal umbrella policy. This exclusion applies even if the business is home-based. So, for example, if you earn money providing daycare in your home, any liabilities that result from the arrangement would likely not be covered. Personal umbrella insurance typically doesn't cover other business-related liabilities such as malpractice lawsuits or losses in connection with your paid position as an officer, a member of a governing board, or not a for-profit organization. It also does not cover criminal or intentional acts. A personal umbrella policy usually won't protect you from consequences of your own intentionally harmful or illegal behavior. For example, restitution you owe if you are convicted of a crime or damages you intended to cause through your actions. A big one of these is, drunk driving. If you are a person who drinks and drives, I definitely say that's not a good thing to do, but your personal umbrella policy is generally not going to cover you in that case. It also doesn't cover contracts. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this, but this is something you definitely want to talk about, with your insurance agent. You want to talk to your insurance company that handles both your homeowner's policy and your automobile policy, or if like me, I'm a motorcycle rider, I also have a motorcycle policy as well. And I didn't really get into this till recently when I sat down and talked with my insurance agent, and he said, Ralph, one of the things you might want to consider is, an umbrella policy. And I kind of looked at him like I mentioned at the beginning of the thing, and listen, dude, it's not raining out right now. After he got a little chuckle, he finally said no. And the thing, it's interesting, like, for example, in my particular case, we've got our homeowner's policy, we've got our auto policy, and then we also have, that motorcycle policy I talked about. So for us, it really is not cost prohibitive in that it's only $59 per year to add this umbrella that takes that standard coverage. Now, I will tell you, they may require you to bump up your standard coverage. So like, for example, if you've got the lowest possible auto insurance limits, they may require you to bump that up to like a $300,000 limit. Then they would add that additional, coverage up to $1 million over and above that. So, if you've got assets to protect, and you've got hobbies and things like that you want to do, there's a reasonable chance you can injure another person or damage their property with your hobby. You should stronger consider one of these umbrella policies. But the truth is, anybody benefits from this. So I definitely think it takes time to take a look at this, talk with your insurance agent and see if this makes sense for you. I hope this was helpful talking about umbrella insurance policies.
You've been listening to Ask Ralph, brought to you by Saggio Accounting Plus. Please subscribe to and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a rating and review. Our podcast is produced by Carolyn Peters. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Ask Ralph Media. You can also hear me each week on 1450 WILM and on 1410 WDOV in Delaware and on the iHeartRadio app. Submit your questions or ideas for future shows by sending an email to AskRalph@AskRalph.com.
The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.